So one of the things I've been working on in my game is trying to get a little more distance. I've been playing with a lot of people on the weekends who are driving further than me, and I hit it pretty straight, but when you don't have much distance to get it out there, you're hitting maybe a 7-wood into a green instead of like a 7-iron or something. It just gets a lot tougher to be consistent. So I got a lot of questions about how to get faster swing speed without messing up my sequencing and everything. So Ed's gonna give us some tips on how we can think about getting faster.
Yep. And one thing I'll say though is that he's probably shot some of the best scores that he's shot in a long time here in the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to sacrifice that in trying to get longer, but I do think your next step as a player is to have more club head speed and to have more distance, especially with drivers.
Yeah, I agree.
That was good, yeah.
Happy with these shots,
Honestly, it's as good as I've seen you hit it.
I really feel like my game's the best I've ever been right now. It's just it's like the putting, chipping, sand, like approach. It's like all the little pieces have been really coming together. To the point where I really feel like if all of it comes together in one day, I really think I could break 80, which I've never done.
Good. And what have you been thinking about? You told me it was very simple thoughts, right?
I've really been trying to simplify as much as possible. I worry about ball position in terms of where it is in my stance, how far I am. I really try to get consistent with that. I've been trying to work on making sure my feet are aligned, and I kind of flare my left just a little to help me clear my hips.
Okay.
Shoulders as square as I can get it, which to me feels closed sometimes because my natural is to feel open. So I kind of 2 or 3 degrees to the right just to make it square according to the mirror.
Okay.
And then I just try to have
using the mirror.
Then I just try to have a good backswing where I have my nice little takeaway get to this position, and then after that I just try to swing through and not think too much.
Good. So. And those aren't too many thoughts. We don't want a lot of thoughts. I mean, I think that's where a lot of people might have great thoughts, but they just have too many of them.
Absolutely.
I mean, and so and I recommend that you keep track of your swing thoughts, like maybe in a journal or something.
Yeah.
Just what works, man. All I'm thinking about is my shoulder square and my takeaway. Well, write that down, and who knows? 6 months from now,
you might need to come back to that.
Yes, and if you're not playing very good, you can look back and say, when I was playing pretty good, that's all I was thinking about.
Well, the other thing that's helped me, you taught me on video actually when we did that parallax thing, I think, or one of the maybe the alignment ones is my thinking box. Once I get here, I'm done swing thought wise. I'm just trying to get set up correctly and have a good takeaway, and be visualizing also that line of things like we talked about in the parallax one. So I can see where the ball should be going. That's good. Just try to visualize that.
Good.
So
yeah, and I think most really great players do have swing thoughts. But they usually just have one, maybe two, and that's it. And so, there's a lot have been written sports psychologist-wise where they try to get people only to think about the target and stuff like that. And I think there's some great players that just do that too. But I would tell you most of them have a swing thought.
Yeah.
But it's usually just one, maybe two. When they're practicing, they can have more than that. When you're hitting a ball after ball after ball, it lets you focus on different things.
Yeah.
That's how you kind of learn what your swing thoughts should be, and by experimenting with different ones.
See which ones kind of help.
So I like that. And what I've leaned towards more historically, most really good golf instruction is focused on setup and takeaway. But at some point, the forward swing's equally important. So I like people that are struggling, maybe their setup's good, their takeaway's good, and they're still struggling. Maybe they got to think about after the ball things, and we've done that before in the past where I've held my hand here on your heel line, and I told you after the ball the club's got to go to here.
Yep.
And so for many people, this after follow-through thought is really it's really important to understand and experiment with it. But I like where you're at now. So frankly, most of this game is getting the ball in the right place.
Yep.
And so setup's important, being square is important. And, you know, from there, if you're set up correctly, you have to make a good golf swing to make it go to your target. And if you're set up incorrectly, you have to make a bad golf swing.
It makes it a lot harder.
Right. to get it to go to your target.
Well, I noticed that I play with a lot of guys who are, my uncle is a notorious slicer, and so for him to get to the middle of the fairway, he's got to aim at these trees 100 yards to the left, and then he'll hit a big old slice in it. It's just, you know, it's tougher to do that consistently.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to make contact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just, I mean, it's one thing, you might slice it consistently when you hit it
Yep.
halfway solid, but you probably can't hit it halfway solid very often
Absolutely,
either.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
so that happens. A couple
Yeah.
more here, and
Yeah.
then but these are definitely the most solid and in the middle of the club faces.
Yeah,
I've seen you all year, really,
Yeah, I'd
last
say
2 years.
these
so.
are some pretty good hits.
Yeah, they are. It's really good.
I think it's because I spent that week with you in Dalhousie.
Yeah, it could have been.
Like your magic rubbed off on me for 2 days, huh?
See, that's just awesome. Man.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing we've discussed off camera is that, you know, that you would like to hit it farther than you're hitting it.
Yeah, I'm getting outdriven by 70-year-olds, and I'm 37, so I'd like to at least be able to compete with them on speed.
And frankly, I think, you know, technique-wise, it's getting pretty good. I think you're only hitting it as far as you're swinging at it. I mean, the clubhead speed you're swinging at right now, you're probably pretty close to maxing out.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way we're going to hit it farther is to have more clubhead speed.
Sure.
And one of the ways I simply like to do it, go ahead and hold on to this stick. Let me have your club. And just swing real easy where it doesn't make very much noise at first. Okay. Good. And then just try to make it as loud as you can make it. Wish it loud. So what went faster?
My arms. I feel like my body's not moving much faster, but my arms are swinging faster.
And that's my opinion is correct. It's your arms and your hand speed that develop this.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a little bit about, you know, what do we do to get better, you know, to get more clubhead speed if I'm a player.
Yep.
A lot of the top guys, biomechanics wise, think grip strength probably is the biggest indicator of clubhead speed. The higher a player's grip strength is, the stronger they are, the faster they swing the club. And if it's grip strength that's the determining measurement on what somebody's capable of swinging the clubhead, how fast, well, then that means it's your arms and hands that are probably responsible for the most part in developing speed.
Yep.
Does using the ground better, and what you see now online where people are jumping off the ground and having pressure points on different parts of their feet at different times, does that help? It does. But for most people, they're not ready to experiment with that yet. Do the best players in the world get on force plates and try to get better at increasing their clubhead speed? Yes, they do. Do they get faster? Yes, they do. But they've already maxed out their arms and their hand speed.
Yep.
They're maxed out. And so they're no different than you are. They're trying to get better. But so if they're maxed out in one area, they have to go to another area. Is it more hip speed? Is it using the ground more? And can that help? Yeah, it can help. But for most, I don't think you need to worry about the ground until you're over 110 miles an hour at clubhead speed.
For driver, yeah.
For driver,
Okay.
yes. Because until then,
You can get there, with just your arms probably, yeah.
yes, and getting stronger and better technique with your arms and hands.
Yep.
And that is the way to try to hit it farther for most players, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But I would tell you, just from experience, watching, I think you're talking about elite athletes that are learning this footwork. And if you're not an elite athlete,
definitely not.
I don't mean you in particular, I just mean in general, if someone's not an elite athlete, they're going to have an awful hard time coordinating this ground interaction. Does that make sense?
Well, especially if you've got other things to fix first, probably.
Absolutely. And so that's my advice. Keep it simple, but learn to swing things faster.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's the whole theory behind speed sticks and all these speed training things, is they swing light stuff.
Yep.
And there's not much lighter than an alignment stick.
No, that's this thing.
And so I actually like that, or I like turning your driver upside down and just swinging the handle faster. Yeah. And so you can spend money on these training aids, but you can really do it with an alignment stick, and you can do it by turning the club head over and just swinging the handle.
Yep.
And you can do it one-armed and two-armed, but what you'll find is it's hand speed and how fast those hands are going that's really going to improve you the most.
Well, we were talking about this before we started filming, and that's when I do one hand, I can really get some action, and even my left hand, I can get some speed. That was maybe faster. But when I combine them, it's like it feels like something's putting the brakes on a little. It's hard.
Well,
it's hard to.
Only you can feel that.
Yeah.
And so my advice would be to swing this stick a lot, one-handed each hand, and then two, and try to duplicate it with two. I mean, you have to get to that point. And golf is hard because we're using both arms.
Yep.
They have to swing together.
Yeah.
One of my favorite drills, this is one of the greatest drills ever. I might have shown it one time early, but I like, you can start this way if you like. You can turn them over with the handle, but I like holding the shafts 6 or 8 inches apart.
Yep.
See that? And as I swing, I'm gonna hinge and I'm gonna keep them 6 and 8 inches apart, back and through. If I can do that, I'm swinging both arms together. And so, you know, then you can switch and make it heavier with the club head, but you can see that I do a pretty good job of swinging those back and through. Most people, they're either this way or they're that way, or they're this way on the way down. Does that make sense? And so a pretty good drill is to learn to hinge both hands and swing both clubs together. I like that a lot. You could do that with 2 alignment sticks and then try to whoosh it fast. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that'd be a great drill for anybody that's looking to
Get a little speed.
Improve their technique too, but also get some speed too.
Yeah.
And we're really trying to keep those together, see? And so where most people mess up is they try to swing their body too hard. But the club head's got a long way to go, so our body's only got a few inches to go. And so most people, when they start trying to swing harder and harder, they just keep slicing it more and more.
And that's where
because their shoulders end up getting open at impact, and then the club's behind them, and it's going to be a slice.
So you actively are thinking swing your arms fast.
Yes.
And because I noticed that too when I'm doing a good job with this, my body, when I try to swing this as fast as I can, my body doesn't feel like it does almost anything really. It's just the.
Well, it doesn't. When you swing those sticks one-armed.
Yeah, that's.
Does your body do anything? I mean, it really.
It feels
does.
like it's almost all. Basically,
is.
my bicep down to my wrist is where all that action's coming from. So, and I mean that's pretty. I don't know how fast that is, but it sounds fast.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Faster than you swing.
Much faster.
I know.
Yeah.
And so, but yes, and it is so. Some of it's God-given ability. I mean, I mentioned to you off camera, you know, that I played baseball as a kid, and you know, I played a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
If you took a video of me throwing a ball, there would probably be no better technique.
Yeah.
You couldn't be better.
Yeah.
But I couldn't throw it but 80 miles an hour. And there's some guys that can throw it 100.
Yep.
And those guys make a lot of money.
They do.
And so, but and it's, you know, what causes a guy to be able to throw a baseball 100 miles an hour and another guy only 80? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's definitely they have more arm speed, and so so I think arm speed's important, and I think that's what most players' focus should be on if they're trying to hit it farther.
Okay.
Is arm speed, and you know, I've talked before. I learned a lot from a guy named Manuel De La Torre.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he was telling people it was arm speed, you know, back in the 70s, you know, and so, but I think he was right for the most part. And do I think all those other things that you see the top players doing to try to hit it farther, does it work? Yeah, obviously it does. But I think for most people, you just have to understand what your limitations are. And I would go about the ground reaction last. I'd go around hip and body and big muscles next to last. And I'd go with arm and hand speed first. That's what I would tell you if you're trying to hit it farther.
Yeah, yeah. That makes
And
sense.
so, and learn to swing light things. Learn to feel what it feels like to go fast. That's the whole theory behind all these training aids that are swing speed training aids.
Absolutely. It's
And
just
so-
training your subconscious brain to be comfortable.
Yes.
So, and I'm recovering from an injury
You
I had a couple
are.
years
So, and
ago.
I think that's a lot of it
Yeah.
is whether it's conscious or subconscious.
Yep.
I think you've got a little governor in there that's
Absolutely.
keeping
yeah.
you from swinging too hard
Yep.
because you're afraid to hurt your side again.
Yep. Yep.
And so, but I think the more you swing a light alignment stick and the more you realize that's not hurting that area, then I think the more likely that is that you won't have as many inhibitions about
Yeah.
going faster.
I think you're right.
Yep. So that'd be my hope.
Cool.
But that's what I would tell you. I like those swinging just sticks a lot, turning the club over, swinging the handle in, especially like with a graphite shaft with driver.
Yep.
Is really good. The louder you can whoosh that end, the more clubhead speed you're going to generate.
Yeah.
And I think if you focus on grip strength exercises, I mean, if you don't want to go to the gym, but you simply keep a racquetball in your car and you just squeeze it as you're going down the road, going to work or going to the golf course or going home. And anything you can do to work on grip strength.
Yeah, I learned this online, but I filled a big bucket with rice, and I've been going through and trying to kind of knead through it. And apparently that's a really good way to build up.
It is, shoot, yeah. I remember the baseball players back in the 80s all used to do that. So yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah, see if it adds any swing speed for me.
Yep, I think it will.
Yeah.
You're definitely hitting it solid.
Yeah.
And so I think, keep hitting it that solid and then just gradually working on club speed. And you still have to match up your body and your arm swing together to hit good shots.
Yes. Yep.
But I think you will.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's one of the big things for me, improving my overall game, I think, is that I'm really hitting it pretty well lately, but just, if I hit my driver 200, I've got a long way into a par 4 versus if you hit it 250, it's like you're picking quite a different club to get there.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. So I think it's important to work on getting more distance for you. I think we're at that step.
Yep.
And so we'll keep you posted here in the next few weeks how he does. But that's what I would tell you. If you got access to a launch monitor, I think it's great to monitor your clubhead speed.
Yep.
There's some pretty inexpensive ones that only measure clubhead speed.
I've seen that, yeah.
And I recommend them. And they also you don't need to hit a ball for them to work. You can swing and see how fast they go. I know that Super Speed Golf
Yeah.
training aid sells one of those, and it's less than $100
Yeah.
for just swing speed. But you know, even in the backyard, if somebody get that, you know, swing speed monitor, and you know,
Just see
just
how
try
you're
to
doing, yeah.
increase a couple mile an hour each week,
Yep.
you'd be surprised in 3 or 4 weeks or a couple months
I
how
bet.
much faster you're swinging.
Absolutely.
But it helps to be able to measure it.
Yep.
And to see if, and that's the other thing, you can, by having access to a launch monitor or one of those things, it's important to measure it, because you know, you could swing as hard as you want, but you may not really be generating clubhead speed.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you'll find out how much effort is wasted, you know, and is it worth it? You know, can you generate more? Some people literally can't, and then the harder they try, all they're moving is their shoulders faster, and that usually makes them slice it more.
Yep.
And so it's important to measure and to see, is this effort, am I really swinging the clubhead faster?
Well, I see that with a lot of my playing partners. Well, they swing at it with a lot of effort, but what ends up happening is their shoulders get open, and then they get that big slice on their drives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that every day.
Yeah.
So.
I bet.
But yes, and so it's important to measure and to see, you know, most of the tour players over the years, if you ask them, would tell you they feel like they swing at 80%, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good figure probably, because at what feels like 80% to them is where they have maximum clubhead speed.
Yep. Yeah.
And any more effort,
it probably wouldn't really go much further.
It does, and it doesn't get, so that's not worth it. So then they don't try to exert that much effort.
Yep.
And that's why you see Fred Couples and Ernie Els and guys that look so effortless swinging, they figured that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
And so, and then the other thing that, just to finish there, was speed at learning to the correct mechanics of how much your hands should hinge. So you'll see almost every player on tour with their lead arm and the shaft forms a 90-degree angle, and when that 90-degree angle is let go of at impact is where really the speed comes from in your arms and hands.
Yep.
And so that's why it's a killer, in my opinion, if you're not hinged enough, or if the first thing you do on the way down is lose that hinge.
Yep.
And I know we've talked about a lot of different things on this channel. I like leaving the hinge. I don't like feeling I'm pulling, but I like holding on to that angle. And then I think the release feels more like this on the way down. But see, I'm still maintaining that angle. So a lot of people misinterpret of what we talk about releasing the club earlier. You're still maintaining that angle later, but the rotation is that way. And so that's where you get clubhead speed, is forearm rotation and losing this angle at the right time, and so we're swinging fastest at the ball.
Yep.
The guys that cast or lose this angle early, they actually might have a lot of clubhead speed
back here, but
it's
then
all
by the
back
time it
there,
gets to
by
the
the
ball,
time it gets to the ball, it's
Yep.
slowed down by 10 or 15%.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I see that a lot too.
Yeah.
And so, but that's what I would focus on
Okay.
if I was you. I'd swing these sticks a lot.
Yeah.
I like that 2-club drill. That's a
I
really
like that
good
one too. You showed me that a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite drills.
Yeah.
I do that one a lot, and it just
Yeah.
helps with sequencing.
It does.
You know, one of the things for me, sometimes I feel like my right side doesn't come through all the way. It gets kind of lazy, and when I do that drill, I really can feel both sides of my body have to come through at the same time together.
Good. And that's where that sequencing comes in.
Yeah.
And learning to swing both arms together.
Yep.
And so, great drill, one of my favorites.
Absolutely, I like it too.
So I would highly recommend it.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm gonna do a couple just fast ones with this.
Okay.
I'll try to progress going with the alignment stick, and then I'll swing the back of the club and then the club, and just see if I can feel any faster swinging with just arms like that.
Oh, faster
And
now.
go faster.
Even faster. That's not loud enough. There we go.
So I can get there.
I know. Well, it's easy. It's light.
Yeah. I feel like my wrists, when I try to go for more speed, I get more of that wrist action going. Okay, so.
Well, that's what I mean by it's hands and wrists, so I agree with that.
Yeah.
Arms, wrist, hands, yeah. Do it again, a little thin, but...
Yeah, a little thin, but... I feel like maybe I had a little more on that one.
I do.
I feel like I feel more of that wrist throw at the bottom when I do that.
Good. That's definitely farther.
I'm hitting
already.
it probably what, 10 or 10 yards
anyway,
at least
yeah.
further. Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably 10.
I think that's one of the things I'm missing is just that freedom to let my
I agree
wrist
with that.
rip
It
through
is a
there.
freedom thing. You gotta let it go.
Yep.
I couldn't agree more. I thought it was fascinating. They just played in New Orleans in the team event. And
Yeah.
I follow that Michael Kim on Twitter. You know,
I do too. Yeah.
He's great. He posted it today. You know how he likes playing in that format because he's like freeze him up. He's not scared to hit a bad shot, and he realizes that that's what he has to do as an individual player. But it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great.
I did too. I read that same tweet. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, great. I guess we still call them tweets. We call them tweets. Post. It was a
something
post.
like that.
Yeah. I don't want Elon to get mad at us. I think it's a post. See, that's better.
Hey, that was good.
And you can see it gets up in the air, and that one flew.
I haven't hit a 7-iron that far in a long time. That was great.
Yeah, that was great.
I think you're right. I think I just need to have that freedom to swing at it more, but you're right. Don't try to rip my body through it. Just focus on getting that. And they talk about, it's a throwing type motion, right? And it's like, but you're just trying to feel that at the right time down there.
Yep, I agree. And you can see it goes higher in the air too.
Absolutely.
See, the harder you hit it, the more it's going to bounce off the loft. So,
Yeah.
So that's a lot better.
Yeah, these are great. I hit one more.
See, that's great.
Yeah. I think I gained 20 yards compared to my warm-up shots on that.
Did.
So
yeah, good
that's
job.
great. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome, bud. Good. Beautiful. That's right where you're aiming. And that height's definitely better. You can see, so that's fine. 225.
That's literally 30 yards further.
know.
I could show the data on my when I was doing Top Trace yesterday. My furthest drive was 201 total, and this is, I carried that probably to. That's awesome. Yeah.
225. Good job.
Well, I just gained 30 yards.
And that's just swinging faster.
Yeah.
With your arms.
Which I think it's just I just got to get comfortable doing that,
You do.
So that's good.
All right, cool.
Awesome. Thank you.